Hello, guys and gals, lords and ladies, saints and sinners of every kind. Welcome to Rise Up Jerusalem, your Catholic podcast for teens. I am your host, Connor McLaughlin, and before we even start talking about this episode, I want to give an amazing thank you to everyone who has ever watched a single episode of the show, because, 2 weeks ago, or 1 week ago, 2 Saturdays ago, I don't remember, but we passed 1,000 views, and right now we're sitting at 1,050 views, and that makes me really, really happy. You can probably tell, and it was 2 weeks ago, and I'm still super excited because it's 1,000 people have watched episodes, or at least 1,000, people have watched each individual episode over 1,000 times. That's a lot for me. And when you look at channels on YouTube who are I have 46 million subscribers, PewDiePie, that may not seem like much, but when it comes to sharing the faith and bringing the gospel, that's a lot to me. And that's, like I've always said, that's why I started this podcast, because I want to try to spread the Catholic faith from my perspective. And the fact that 1,000 people have watched my perspective is really, really amazing. So thank you to everyone who's watched it. And on to the main topic of the day. We are going to talk about boycotts, because boycotts are one of those things that are very, very... I don't want to say controversial, but somewhat controversial, because nobody actually knows if they work very well. See, the whole thing is, and if you don't know what a boycott is, probably the most famous example throughout history would be when Rosa Parks and all of the other African Americans boycotted the buses in, I believe that was Montgomery, Alabama. Don't quote me. I'm 99% sure. I could look it up, but I'm pretty sure it's Montgomery, Alabama. Yeah, it was Montgomery bus boycott, right? Yeah. No, I'm correct. I'm pretty sure I'm correct. Look it up and tell me if I'm correct. Pause this video, look it up, just to affirm my knowledge. If I was right, phenomenal. If I'm wrong, then I'm an idiot. Anyways, boycotting is basically when a bunch of people say, we're not going to support X. Generally, it's some sort of an organization. For example, as long as I can remember, my family has never bought Girl Scout cookies because Girl Scouts support Planned Parenthood, and we're not supporting that. So it's yeah, I have to give up the Thin Mints and the coconutty, what do they call them? Coconutties? The coconut things. We're not going to buy it because it's showing that, we're not going to do it. See, and this is where it gets to the really questioned part of this, is that when you have, it may work if it has a small organization like buses in Montgomery, Alabama, but it may not work as well when you come across large organizations like the Girl Scouts, or a recent example would be Target. With their whole stuffs that are going on with them. Does it work? Does it work when large companies? Because what appears to be happening is you have a bunch of people saying, no, I'm not going to go to this certain organization for goods and services. By definition, I'm not giving them any money, thus they're going to lose money, and eventually they'll have to change to make money. And that would seem like it makes sense and it would work. Because, if you looked at, and these are a long, if you look at some numbers, the stock of Target, after Target announced their whole new policies, Target's stock dropped in 10 days by 5.8%. And I don't know if you know anything about economics, but 5.8% is not a small sum. 5.8% is a pretty good number when it comes to stock. That means that it dropped by about $5. And $5 on a stock in 10 days, that's 50 cents a day of continual dropping. That's pretty bad. But again, when you come to large organizations like Target, will that really matter as much for them? And I'm actually going to be the one who's going to say yes, but it's not going to matter as much as you think, because when people say, oh, boycotts won't really change a company or an organization's mind on something, because you can't have enough people boycotting something that will actually make a numerical difference unless you have millions upon billions upon billions upon billions of people who are boycotting it. If they see a very quick, sudden drop, 50 cents in a day, not going to matter. $5 a day for 3 days, then they would start having problems. Why would they start having problems? So it's not the money fact. What it is the brand. See, a lot of organizations that sell goods and services are 100% behind their image. Every company has an image. Starbucks has the image of coffee that's generally overpriced, and Starbucks is also another company that I boycott. Joseph A. Banks has the image of always having 8-for-1 sales. Walmart has the image of people going there in their pajamas at 3 a.m. for raw cookie dough to eat. You know, every organization is going to have a certain image that they're looking for. Target has an image to uphold too. And I don't mean the image of being a slightly classier Walmart. I mean the image that they're going to be projecting to everyone who looks at a Target now. You know, a lot of people say that no publicity is bad publicity. But it can disagree when you're in the business of public relations, because what starts to happen is you start to have an internal strife of what does this company mean? And you can't actually change people's minds in that. You can try to, but people will have to make up their own minds for themselves. And that's how boycotts will get companies. Boycotts get companies by saying, hey, you have a new image. You know, if someone thinks, Target now, they're not going to think another place they can get a wild cherry icy without having to go into a 7-Eleven. They're now going to think about, you know, all of the publicity, all the media they've heard, and all the bad media and all the good media, and say, you know, I'm not sure about Target anymore. The faith that the company once had is being lost, and that's what is really going to hurt Target, and that's what really hurts any organization. So the question is, do boycotts work? Yes, boycotts work, but not because of the monetary gain. The monetary gain will matter, but the more important factor is the image. If a company loses its image, then the boycott works. If the company has its image changed, then they want to go back to the image that worked, because the image that they had that's been working is probably the best image they can come up with. You know, focus groups say, this is what we need to be. That's how it's going to get our most customers. They're going to want to get back into that image, having people view them as that. So what's going to happen is, if people view Target enough as something that they don't want to be, then they'll have to change to go back to the way that they can control and say, hey, no, we're this again. We're a good family brand. And everybody can say, oh, okay, yeah, no, we can go to Target and then that's cool. The idea of when someone says something in someone else's mind, because whenever I say a word in your mind, like you'll think of something, right? So if I say couch, you're just thought of, you know, your couch at home or a couch that you sit on a lot at school. I don't know. Why do you have couches in your school? I don't even know. If I say car, either you thought of a super nice car that you've always been admiring, or you think of the family van, or a car that has a special place, you know, that you remember. If I say doll, you're probably going to think of your doll, you know, or a woman. Guys, don't be crude. But it's that idea of when I say Target, what is going to pop up in my mind? And that's what Target has to control. And because of that, boycotts work. So guys, thank you so much for watching. Once again, I apologize for missing last week's episode. Hopefully, I will not miss any episodes after this. God willing, God please. But yeah, finals, guys, finals killing me. School is hard. School is very hard. Can't wait to be done with high school and go to college. And if you don't know what college I'm going to, you can follow me at Rise Up Jerusalem on Twitter and figure it out, or just look and don't follow. I don't know, but do follow. Guys, what do you think? Do you think boycotts work? This is my question to you. Do you think boycotts will work? Do you think the boycott of Target will work? Shoot it down below in the comments. Tell me your answer. I want to hear it. I want to see your side of the story. And hey, maybe I'm wrong. Guys, thank you so much for watching. And as it was in the beginning, is now, and ever shall be, rise up and live.